Dun, dun. Welcome back, everyone, to Aces53 with Ed Parcaut and myself. It is a Thursday, but we thought since we're going to be taking next week off, it would
What?
just
We're
be
taking
Ed.
next week off?
I know, Labor Day, holidays, people got a lot of stuff going on. Interestingly enough, like my kid went back to school 2 weeks ago. There's some people who don't go back till next week after Labor Day. So we figured let everybody get into a groove, after their vacation time.
I'm going somewhere. I'm not going to be around. I'll still be working, but I'm not doing
Right.
video. So.
True. And I'll be gone Thursday because I'll be flying to go speak at that event in Philly. So, but for anyone who's new, Ed and I, this is Aces53. What does Aces stand for? Attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile. Something Ed learned in college from a professor. Why is the number 53? There's 52 cards in a deck. And then we bring in a joker on Thursdays, which is someone with a special skill or talent that you guys can learn from. So,
and we're the joker today.
Yes, we are. But if you've not been here on a Tuesday before, that's usually just Ed and I talking anyway.
Yeah.
Sometimes grumpily, sometimes gleefully. It all works out.
Yeah. That light's really glaring off of that spindle thing on your mic there. It looks like chrome. See what I got there? Yeah.
Here. Oh, I see it. There we go. How's that?
That's better. I'm just, little things because you're getting all your set up. You moved into your man cave, I see.
Yes. Well, I thought I always talk about Batman. I was going to have a bat cave background. So if we go like this, look, it's all fancy. Okay. So I'll see that. I'm seeing one of the things that you and I talked about is for some reason with the brick background that I have, I think it's eating up too much trying to pixelate everything. So this is an attempt to see what does it look like. Oh, I need to hit go live on the gram.
I already did.
Okay. Yeah. Like I'm looking on Instagram and it's not blurry anymore. So it was that brick that was causing the issue.
Yeah, or just your face. One of those two.
That's so hurtful, mainly because I have to see it so often.
All right. So what are we going to talk about today? We've been talking about a bunch of stuff that I've come across on my, different podcasts I do.
Right. Well, I mean, that's a good place to pick up is how are you drilling down? And you go ahead and start, and then I'll come in with like things I'm doing afterwards. But
no, I'm just saying that's kind of what we've been doing lately because things are coming up and people are, focusing on certain things. And it's important to really focus on that client. I ran into a guy who helped a guy set up his business and he did kitchens for left-handed people only. He remodeled kitchens for left-handed people only and killed it.
That's interesting. That's
because
going
left-handers. Yeah, well, left-handers do things different. They have to adapt to right-hand everything, doors, this, that.
Right.
So that was his specialty. And so we said this a while back about niching down, and someone said, "Can you niche down too far?" Right. Well, with that example, no. Yeah, he just left the show. It's that bad.
No, I'm here. I'm grabbing. You know me. I'm going to talk about something in a second.
Well, and so technically, he wrote that. So that's a really good niche down. Left-handed people remodeling kitchens just for them, and he did. There was like millions of people in a 4-hour down, 4-hour up area that he would work in, right. And that's a specialty, and he was killing it. And I was like, wow, that is really. Now, if he niched down to only, something else, it might be too far, but that was a perfect niche down. And I said, he could still do other people's kitchens. You did such a great job for Harry doing that left hand. Would you do a right hand one for me?
Exactly. He's still got it out there, but how did he stand out? There's lots of people that do remodels. And to your point, that's what a lot of people teach is have your niche, but you can still serve other people. So examples that we've had on previous guests is Rhonda, who I was at her event in Michigan, Tuesday or Monday and Tuesday. My days are all running together. I was with Rhonda
this week.
Yeah, earlier this week. And what does Rhonda have? She has Social Oak, which is getting business women together, but they still allow men to come to some of the meetings. So it was like 97% women because that's their target market, but they also partner with Social Oak men. And so men can come to, they can cross-pollinate events. But her niche is helping small businesses that are women-run owned businesses. So you can always go small and then you can expand. Versus if you try and go for everyone, you get no one because nobody thinks you're talking to them.
Correct. You want to have your niche, get your message to them, right? And then they hear the message, and then you keep moving forward.
Right. And that, so how, when being a speaker, that's why we always have discovery calls with who am I speaking to? What's their language? Can I come and sit and listen to, your lingo, your jargon, what you're teaching the people versus I can get up and give the same speech over and over again. But by personalizing it for the audience, I talk about, okay, I understand your situations. Now this is how you can use it. And it's that same type thing. Once you figure out who's your target audience, your ideal avatar, go after that. And then we can move from there. So somebody asked, are we both from the USA? Yes, Ed's in California. I'm in Dallas, Texas.
That's correct.
So obviously I'm in the better state.
It all depends.
This is true.
If you like weather, no, you're not.
That is very true. Now, Laguna Beach last week was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and those areas, they get warm until noonish, and then they cool off in the evening to where you have to wear a jacket.
Yeah.
Some of those places.
This is going to be so off topic, but when I was a kid, and I never understood why when I'd watch TV shows, somebody would wear a sweater tied around their neck, and I thought, these are just a bunch of goobers. And I realized that's just California weather.
No, I don't see that anywhere.
You don't see that where, well, you just said they carry a jacket, right?
Oh, most people don't carry one. They just go home and pick it up, or they have it with. I'm just saying, it's not everybody puts a jacket on.
Right. Agreed. Some people are like me. We run hot all the time and very rarely need jackets. So, but back to what we're talking about, it's a matter of niching down, finding your ideal person, and then it's okay to help others at the same time. So for speaking events, obviously mine is targeted towards sales. Why? Sales teams have the budget. Sales teams have to get in front of completely new strangers. But if a group reaches out and they want to do it for their customer service team, they do the same thing as sales. But if I targeted that I'm only going to work with customer service reps, unfortunately, most corporations don't invest in employees at that level. And I say that I started on the help desk. So I'm not talking down, but I got zero training other than how to fix the product when I was on the help desk. But when I went into sales, they brought in speakers all the time.
Yeah, but that's different because the help desk is on the phone.
Right.
Right. And now, unless they do video calls, it's not going to help them.
Exactly.
They can work on tones and inflections and other stuff of people's voices and how to, de-escalate and do certain things. But I think your whole thing is sales, because you have to sell you sell. Nothing happens in a company until it's sold. Nobody gets paid. You can do all the marketing in the world. You can create your brand. You can create your niche. But until it gets sold, it doesn't matter.
And that's exactly right. Marketing often gets overlooked, but it's marketing that creates awareness, but you need sales to close the deal. And then the other departments come into play. Now, don't get me wrong. You have to have an engineering or product or something of that nature that works.
I'm not knocking anybody else in the company, but yeah, I mean, each one thinks they're better than the other one anyway. And it's you all work together.
100%. I got in trouble one time with a former CEO because they sent out an email, said, congratulations to Brian for winning this. And I responded back to the entire company. I'm like, hey, we need to thank this person, this person, this person, this person. And I got all these calls from people going, never respond back to the CEO. And I'm like, okay. So I did learn, if you're in corporate America, like I once was, if you want to, if you're lonely and you want people to contact you, just reply all to an email. So.
Yeah, or be on a Zoom call and do a private chat to everyone and make statements that you're supposed to be doing in a private chat. Yeah.
Oh, I don't even trust that. We used to have, Teams at a company I worked at, and people are like sending me stuff in Teams. I'm like, this is recorded. Be at least smart enough to use a, text messaging or something.
And not a company phone. Use your personal phone.
Exactly. Yeah.
My wife is where she's at, and they always have that, and that's what they do. But what, in a couple of the meetings, someone was like, "What a dumbass," and it went to everybody.
You know what? It doesn't surprise me. Things like that happen from time to time.
Well, people aren't the smartest when it comes to technology.
Yes. Now, I do want to converse what we said about, going narrow on your target audience. That doesn't mean only go to events that they're at. So for example, the event we mentioned earlier that was in Laguna last week, that was entrepreneurs that live in California. That's not my ideal market, but I bought a ticket to go and end up getting to speak, and I got opportunities out of that. So again, don't just stay in your own market. Like for example, if you only ever talk to mortgage people and real estate people, you would be limiting what you do. Because yes, those people are in your industries, but everybody needs a house. So where else can you go and explain what you do, right?
Well, I go directly to consumer now because we used to go through agents and everything, but they're getting like the people they get already have a loan officer.
Yeah.
And so you can't get that from they don't normally have people go to us first to find out what they can do.
Yeah.
Then they go and find the house.
Yes. Well, that's the way they should do it.
Well, that's how they do it now.
I know. Like when I was selling my last house, we had the highest offer came in. We asked the realtor, "Are they approved?" "Oh yeah, no, they're good to go." And then when it came to closing, "Oh no, they never went through the approval process." I'm like, so it ended up costing us 15 grand as a result, because then we had to go back and to all the people who we turned down, who were 2, 3, and 4. The next highest offer had found another house because it was right in 2021 when houses were going fast, or maybe it was 22, when houses were still going really fast. So they locked in another house, and we lost money on that because they didn't qualify the person ahead of time.
That's horrible.
Yeah. But along that same vein, that's why it's also important to qualify your prospects, right? In sales. So you can set up a webinar and all these people can join for free. And if you're offering a high ticket item, let's just say 5 grand to 50 grand, and everybody joins, doesn't have the funds to do that now, well, you've spread your message, but it's not to the right people. So qualifying applies to all kinds of things that you want to do. And that's what people need to do, is learn what are questions that help me know, is this my ideal customer or not? How do I narrow down from everyone to that one?
Easy. Go through who you serve and find out who you like to work with.
Exactly.
And find out why you enjoy them so much.
Yes.
And that's one of the easiest way to figure out who your perfect client is the people you have, you enjoy and you get along with, and it's easier.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, that's me. Because I was talking to Ralph about it. And he does business sales, and now he's going only for veteran business owners to help them sell their companies.
Right.
And he goes, because it's like these other people are just a nightmare to work with. Where us, we know what we want. We're attention to detail. We're direct. And that's what you want.
Well, and we had Dan McCoy.
So.
We had Dan McCoy on before, right? He's in the IT cybersecurity space, but he only works with chiropractors.
Right.
Why? Because he can nail it down and he can become the expert for chiropractors for their IT and cybersecurity needs. So what happens is whenever somebody gets a new office, they're setting up something new, Dan gets referred to them. He's not having to chase like he's completely brand new.
Well, that's again niching. It takes a while to build it, but you'll get to a point where it's really good.
Yeah.
And that's just like I've been dealing with it for a while. When I first got in, that's all I worked with was veterans.
Yeah.
So freaking long ago. And then I moved and did purchases, and I was doing it for everybody. Yeah. But I really enjoy working with veterans. So
there you go. So and look, you're coming full circle again to now you want to go back to yes. You gonna sing the song for us?
No. Ninamba.
Yeah.
They're remaking Lion King. What the heck?
I know. Well, I saw today too, they're remaking Fight Club with all women. It was a funny meme. It said, well, they already broke the first rule because they're all posting about how they're going to remake Fight Club.
That was funny. Don't talk about Fight Club.
Hey, that's what I like about the internet. You get to see some creatively funny things thanks to the internet. You see some absolutely stupid and ridiculous things at the same time. But some people's creativity is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's funny. You just got to be quick-witted, and you do pretty well. Yeah,
and thick-skinned.
Yeah. But so that same guy that was helping, was it him or no? That was the second person. But one of the guys I interviewed this week, he created a app for like Uber for landscaping people.
Interesting. Okay.
I think it's green.
Right.
It's not out yet, so I don't really remember what his name. But he was in the landscaping business he started as a kid.
Yeah.
And then he stayed in it because he could figure out how he could make money, and he built it to where it was like, I think it was 10 to 15 million a year in sales.
Yeah.
And so then he ended up selling it after because he just got tired of it. And then he created an app years later about doing that. And now they're based out of I want to say Memphis.
Well, that reminds me, there's a guest we were supposed to have on one time, but our schedules didn't work initially. He went to a McDonald's and he saw that their parking lots were a mess. People throwing their cigarette butts out everywhere, whatever. He started doing their landscaping at one McDonald's for free. And then when they saw the job, they paid him and referred him to every other McDonald's that's in the area. And now I think he does like 200 million in sales a year. But it started by going, instead of saying what I can do for you, doing it, and then saying, do you want me to continue or not? Right. And I was listening to somebody's podcast and they talked about that is you and I get hit up all the time. Oh, let me be your video editor. Go and edit some videos and send them to me and say, hey, doesn't this look better than what you have? Right. Let's discuss pricing. Don't just tell me or ask me, do I need a video editor? So
that's it.
That's it. I just think you go and do it. You just do things and show people. And then if they're interested, they'll buy.
Right. Well, this whole thing that was unique about the situation. So I started thinking, what else is there out there that nobody's done yet? But this app, it helps. Like, say there's, somebody who wants to just do an extra grand a month in, doing landscaping for somebody. It says a part-time job or whatever. This helps that person with only wants to mow 10 lawns or whatever.
Right.
Staying, because he says most people want to deal with the owner.
Yes.
They don't want to deal with a large company. They want to deal with an owner. And so this allows them to do that through the app. Plus, then they train the people and they remind them, oh, it's time to seed. It's time to do this. It's time to fertilize. It's time to do it. And helps them build this business inside. I go, do you do accounting services too? Because they all get 1099. Yeah. I said, because that would be the next level, or at least refer them so that, by the way, you might want to put away 25% of this money each month, each quarter or whatever.
Gotcha. There's something I was going to say going along with that. I forget. Oh, yeah. So several of the things you talked about, like I meant to bring this up earlier. I was saying I hung out with Rhonda this week, and she created the Social Oak group. She created something called C3, which is where they teach small businesses other skills. So they get together, they bring in an expert. But what they also have is called your Gang of Five, and that comes from Book Yourself Solid. And it's what you just said about that. So what are complementary businesses or business owners that you can create an internal like mastermind for, where you all refer each other to business? So to your point, if he's going to 1099 everyone and those people know they're going to need an accountant, partner with an accounting firm. And then, so find people that are somewhat in your niche, in your industry, but aren't competitors. And when I say that, so Rhonda's a chiropractor. She partners with a lady who owns a salon, right? Because when people go and get their hair done, things of that nature. She also is friends with someone who does spinal surgery. So if somebody comes to her and she can't help them, she refers them to them. And there's something that people value of, if you're not a right fit, but they can help you find the right person, people value and respect that. And then when they do need your services again, you come to mind right away.
Right. And that's how it should be.
Yes.
But, one thing I thought about him is, what's the guy's name that has all the dojos and the mastermind?
Chris Casamassa.
Anyway, I said, hey, when are you going to start a mastermind to this guy? I'm like, because you've got the people.
Right.
You could help them grow their businesses now to the next level and keep them in your app, which nobody will make another one because of what you're doing.
Right.
And I was like this, because that reminds me of, and as I said, this reminds me of the karate one that was done. You're doing this, but you're connecting them all into one place, right? And create a mastermind for that, and then grow it.
And that's exactly what he did, right? He started out with his one, he perfected his, and then he taught other newer owners what can they do differently. And then what else does he do? Is he goes out, he markets a brilliant theme for people who didn't see that episode. He has an anti-bullying presentation he does at schools for free. And he goes in, he's doing it because his goal is to help save 1 million kids from being bullied. The side benefit is if people then want to sign up for his class, it's a win-win. He's going in, gifting a skill and from the heart that helps his business at the same time.
Well, that's why I do Rotary.
Yeah, exactly. A way to give back.
Right. I did it it's a service organization. I didn't go in there to make money.
Yeah.
If you do that, you won't be successful in it.
Well, people can smell neediness and commission breath, 10 million miles away.
Yeah. Why are you here? I want to sell you something.
Uh-huh. Well, and that's, I just was on another live today where we can pick up on more. What's that?
It's a cheater.
Yeah, I know. We can pick up more than we realize when we're talking to people, and we can tell when people's body language doesn't match what they're saying. And people think all the time they're smarter than somebody else. And there's a reason why people get a bad name in the industry and all these other things, because people know when you're sitting there just pushing your product because you want something, you're broke, you need this sale, versus wanting to really help the person.
Right. And it should be all about helping.
It absolutely should be. And unfortunately, a lot of corporations, that goal has been lost a long time ago. And it started, and I say that the minute pensions went away and they just said, hey, 401k, you're on your own. Yes, companies give to your 401k, but it took away some of the responsibility of things. So now what's the reason to stay loyal to a company? If they get rid of PTO and 401ks, you're on your own. Why be loyal to a company when you can jump? And this is a lot of companies. If I can jump to a competitor and make more money because you'll give me a 3% raise and they'll give me a 15% raise, why would I not go? And that's where we are this day and age, is companies don't have loyalty to employees. Right now, there's the great, after the pandemic, it was the great resignation. That was everybody who was retiring or leaving companies saying, I don't want to work here anymore. I want more family time. I want to travel in an RV. I'm just not happy here. And this year, it's called the great unbossing. And that is the amount of companies who are laying off people. And what they're laying off is a lot of mid-level managers. And they're thinking, okay, well, we'll just keep the workers and we'll keep the higher ups. So all these things that used to be a reason, like now it's not advantageous to work your way up from employee to manager at a company, because now you're on the cutting block faster than if you're an employee.
Well, and it also goes back to you should build your own company or something, because there's
build your own brand.
No long-term stability working for somebody else.
Yeah. There's a guy we need to have on here one time, John Story. He is an amazing coach for realtors. And he's like, stop just saying, oh, look, I'm with this particular, Keller Williams. And I'm just making up one because I'm obviously not in that industry. He's like, you need to just be talking about you. You can mention that you're there, but stop making the company the focus point of your posts.
Right. Well, and that's what I talk about, because I'm in the mortgage industry. It's the same thing. I could promote my company or I could promote me. I promote me because I never know. I might get this thing where, you know what, I'm tired of running the headache of this, and this. I might just keep doing what I'm doing on the other jobs.
Right.
And then go underneath an umbrella so I don't have to worry about all the other stuff that I have to deal with. And I can just focus on what I want to focus on, plus the other stuff. Because eventually I don't know about you, but I don't want to be tied anymore to a location or a certain thing. I've seen the freedom in this last year that I've had. I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to have a large company to where I have to be there. Right. And a lot of people you can create it to have it, just be outside of it.
Right.
Yes, you can, but it's got to be a certain thing. Did you want to say something? Because you smiled there.
Oh, no, you're just hitting on what I was going to follow that up with. And that's my transition, right? Getting fired. I could have easily gone back to corporate America and made a good salary, but I took a month off. I'm like, look, I worked for a company for 21 and a half years, got treated like crap on the way out. Why do I want that from another company? And it was hard because financially it was a tough decision to make. But when you really experience freedom, it is like, I know there's so many Matrix quotes, but when you're not in the Matrix and you see what's possible, and especially when you start hanging out with other people that aren't in those situations and you truly see what's possible, it's amazing how life is different.
And it's challenging to be on your
absolutely.
own, and it's not easy.
Right.
You run into headaches, things that happen that you don't plan on. I mean, I want to build something that if I mess up, it costs me, not if that's uncontrolled. I sell something or have something that's controlled by something else. You follow me?
Yeah. I used to say that I was a professional apologizer, because that's basically all I did the last 2 years of my career was apologize for products not working, people not working, you name it. And when you're so tired of doing that and having to fall on the sword for things that are out of your control, it's scary as hell for it to be yours. But like you said, you have a direct impact. If you lose a customer, it's on you. Now it's up to you to go find another customer, which you should be prospecting the whole time anyway.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about, really. I'm talking like in my industry, interest rates, right? What happened 5% higher destroyed the industry. We lost a third of all loan officers.
Yeah.
So it's over 140,000 or something like that loan officers left the industry, which is good for the rest of us, but there's just still no business yet because of where the economy is. I don't want to deal with something that's tied to that. I still will do it.
Yes.
I'm also going to build other things that are not tied to that. So eventually I can live in Puerto Rico half the year and only pay 4% in taxes.
Right. And that's kind of what we've been talking about. We really changed it because when we started this a year and a half ago, it was about sales. And
It
what
still is.
it is, but we've realized branding is the bigger part of that. You still have to make sales, you still have to learn the skills, but you have to build your personal brand. You have to get yourself out there so you can do it from anywhere. You get exposure that way. You do other things. So it's just an interesting world. I had the employee mindset for 20 plus years where I was told what to do. I thought other people should handle it. And I was just kind of floating along with somebody else in control. And now I'm in control, scary, not fun some days, financially taxing, you name it. But it's way better than where I was.
Yeah. I mean, if you never listened to or read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, get the book, read it.
Oh,
The updated version of 2016 is really good. I'm
right.
re-listening to it, because I walk like 10 hours a week. So I have to do something during that period of time. And I use that. A lot of people are like, you're always, that's my time that I actually listen to things to make me better. By the time I get back, I can do certain things.
Exactly.
And one of the things that I used from that was, and this is going to be a little political, but I needed this whole thing about unrealized gains. And I told a real estate agent about that because he was talking about how he's voting and everything. I said, you have to understand this unrealized gain thing could be a problem. And he got back to me and texted me the thing saying what they said, which is for people who make 100 million, whatever a year, or family value, all our corporations with that. Well, in 1916, when the 1913, when the 16th Amendment came into play, it was about taxation.
Right.
How they sold it was they told it was a Robin Hood effect, which
we're only going to tax the rich. Right.
Right. And so they told everybody, the working class, don't worry, we're not going to tax you. This is only going to be taxed on the rich. And so then they did it, and they started having money coming in. And then the wealthy people were like, okay, how can we not pay this tax? Corporations, this, that, other stuff came into play, and they stopped paying the tax.
Right.
But once it was put in, they said, okay, now we're going to have everybody else, you're going to pay the tax. So what I'm getting at is, when you're in business, you don't want to pay taxes. You want to pay taxes, but you don't want to pay ridiculous taxes. And that's why you're in business. So just protect yourself, and just be careful when people want to put in a new tax and they tell you it's only go for a certain thing. It's not. It's going to eventually hit everybody.
That's the way people need to understand it is, if you're voting on something that you think will only affect others, you need to think, how can it ultimately affect me? And I don't care what it is we're talking about, but what starts with one, usually, like you said, bleeds over into other areas as well.
But I used that on the radio this week, and that was my whole purpose. What I just said, that I had to say on the radio because we had a local politician on, and I said, this is the issue. And that was all from re-listening to Rich Dad, Poor Dad on my walk.
Yeah.
Re-bringing that up because of the whole thing about taxation and how, we all have two different thoughts, people who believe in big government and other people who don't. And that's why we are who we are.
Well, look at where we are today, because I do love Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I got to meet Kiyosaki a few times. He was just here at Brad Sumrock's event about 8 months ago. And you look at, we used to be on the gold standard. What was that? You can only print as much money as you have gold. Well, now we don't have the gold standard, and that's why people can print money, and that's what makes everything cost more, because there's more money out there now versus the way it used to be. So people don't always realize, they're like, hey, I'm getting free money. No, you're going to pay for it on something else.
Your kids will.
Yeah.
If you don't have kids, who cares?
Yeah.
But I mean, the people don't understand. Nothing's for free in this world. You have to work for it, and it's not. And that one guy was telling you about that created the first company. It was 15 years, or it was longer than that, of building a company, and then the second one was 10 years that he just did. And so it's overnight successes are 15 and 10 years.
I was having a conversation with a local entrepreneur here who she's designing a utensil for women to use for makeup to put it on their face. I don't know what it's really called, so I just kind of screwed that all up. But she was talking about the first year struggle, and then I went back. I'm like, okay, well, what do you know about Andy Frisella? And I think like the first year his company was in business, they made $700, and now they make $275 million a year. Alex Hormozy, slept on the floor of his gyms. Everybody sees who Alex is now, but very few people do the research. The amount of famous actors who slept in their car, Steve Harvey, musicians, Jewel, you name it. I think The Rock moved to California with $7 or $11 in his pocket. And that's why his charity is called like $7 or something. All these people, you see where they are, but not everybody talks about where they came from, or not many of us look up the history of where they came from. People do share it, but is not as popular as showing their new Lambo or their private jet or whatever. Ed Milet talks about being so broke that they shut off the water to his house, so they showered in the pool or they went to the gym because they kept their gym membership so they could shower there. And there's all these famous people now, and Ed Milet's one of the richer entrepreneurs that's out there. But where did they come from? Not just where are they today?
Correct.
Yeah.
Want to stop it there?
Yeah, let's end it there.
Stop.
Yes.
All right. So remember, we're not here next week. Didn't mean we're stopping the show. We're just not here next week, and we're I want to talk to you before we go. So don't hang up. And so again, thanks for everybody being here. We really appreciate you. Best way you can support us is go to our YouTube channel, Aces53, subscribe and support us that way. And again, thanks for everybody being here, and thanks for listening.
Thanks, y'all.